Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Barrens Chat podcast. I'm Sod, and with me tonight is my co-host Guck. This is a podcast about World of Warcraft by two guys who play it. And Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Holidays. If you don't celebrate the holidays, Happy End of the Year to you.
A merry solstice.
Oh, was that the winter solstice? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, well,
Winter is here. I work outside year round, so this is my least favorite time of year to be at work.
yep. The nights are long, but at least at this point they get shorter. The winter solstice is the longest night. Is that right?
The winter solstice is the shortest day of the year for the northern hemisphere. For the southern hemisphere, it is the longest day of the year. So if you're a South American listener, I'm sure you're enjoying your summer or Australia.
Yeah, we actually do have Australian and a or one or two South African listeners, so we do have some Southern Hemisphere guys.
Yeah, and with that, some good news. There is a sale on the BattleNet app. There's a lot of World of Warcraft items on sale. You can get BFA discounted. You can get the package deals from BFA discounted, like the collector's edition, various pets and mounts. So, if you have a excess of gold saved up and you want to get that cheap with gold, or maybe you have some extra money that you didn't spend on gifts for relatives or friends and you want to do that, that's a good time to do that.
Yeah, one of the things that I consider when I see these shop deals is how the WoW team can use these funds to kind of further development. That's one of the things that people always defend the WoW purchasable things like the $25 mounts and things like that. People will buy them purely to support either the developers or purely to just have more stuff in game, which is fine. But I think the fact that they have a sale means that there will be some revenue generated by it, and I don't think it really costs Blizzard anything. So it should at least be a net positive that helps kick the can forward with WoW, which hopefully, I mean, it's probably already scheduled income. They expect a certain amount of money from this, but I still hope it continues to support the active development that we need from Blizzard.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just a win-win scenario. It generates a little extra revenue at the end of the year, and people get, the collectibles that a lot of people in game enjoy. I would say probably a lot of the casual players and even most of the hardcore people, like as the expansions die down, they always work on those collectibles, and people who just gather and take in a ton of gold can get those items at a discounted rate, which I'm sure they love as well. And some awesome news, more importantly, 8.3's release date.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that big of a deal, the shop stuff. I mean, every year you can expect some stuff 50% off, different, cosmetics, mounts, toys, and then they have that cat pack, the huge bundle, which includes again just mounts and I think battle pets or just cosmetic pets. But yeah, the real news is the Visions of N'Zoth patch is going to be going live January 14th. I think one of the coolest parts about this announcement is that the patch comes out on the 14th, and then the very next week, on the 21st, we're going to get normal and heroic difficulty raid. I think that's crazy. Normally, we have to wait like 2 weeks. So this is really good. I think it's a good sign. I think they understand that, retail really needs some content, and they're bringing it out as quickly as possible. Hopefully, the schedule that it comes out is a understandable one that doesn't include excessive amounts of bugs. I hope it's not rushed. I hope it's something that is, still a finished product, but I'm glad to see it coming out a little earlier.
And with the coming raid tier and the coming patch, I've been working pretty much like my entire week has just consisted of the Winter's Veil dailies in your garrison to get the Minion of Grumpus. I've gotten 2. I've done the dailies for 3 days on 9 characters. So in 27 runs of dailies, I've gotten 2 Minions of Grumpus. I'm going to try to do them every day until the event ends and see how rich I can get and how much gold I can just amass from these dailies that take me like 5 minutes to do.
Yeah, I think the big money is going to be made when people keep their Minion of Grumpus mounts and sell them when Shadowlands releases. I mean, at any point when there's the start of an expansion, there are people who have gold come back, and they come back with their gold, and they usually spend it. So I think you'll see an increase in some of those purchasable mounts. More of them will be purchased, and because of that, the price will probably go up. So if you're out there trying to make some gold, you may be able to make a little bit of change by holding on to your mounts. But that's all speculation.
Yeah, and I'm incredibly impatient, so I probably like if I get enough over the course of the next week or week and a half, maybe I'll hold on to a few, but I'm so impatient and I just like seeing the numbers climb that I'm definitely just going to try to get rid of them. So, if you're looking for some cheap minions, you can find me on Mal'Ganis. And with that, like also new patches coming and the new raid tiers coming out, the new Mythic Plus season and Arena season will start soon, and it's a good way. Like if you're getting back into the game, you probably want to start now. We're like 3 weeks away from it, and you want to get your essences if you haven't already done that. You know, a lot of people who probably quit BFA ahead of time maybe want to get back into it. Your character is going to be completely and utterly useless compared to other people who have rank 3 essences. I feel it on my alts, and I'm just too lazy to grind the essences because I hate it. I do have uh, all rank 3s on my main, my best in slot essences, so like it that's not the end of the world. I can still raid on my main and be effective and maybe even get lucky in my first week of doing heroic Nazoth and maybe get a BOE with corruption on it and sell it for like 1 million gold. I mean, who knows? So you definitely want to try to be effective at that and make yourself more marketable and more wanted in groups.
Yeah, that's something that I'm actually pretty excited for. The BFA Season 4 Mythic Affix. So it's going to be something N'Zoth, something Old God, something corruption themed. It's going to be cool. I'm excited for it. The wings, so like the way that they break down the raid for LFR, they kind of name each wing. And with the raid unlock schedule, it includes the LFR schedule, and with that, the name of those wings. And I think some of these are pretty cool. The last two in particular. The third wing is called the Gift of Flesh, and the fourth wing is the Waking Dream. So it's a massive 12 boss raid. It's going to be awesome, and by the looks of it, it's going to be just massively epic.
It's interesting because with it being a 12 boss raid, it makes you wonder how many of the bosses are going to be considered like the quote unquote free bosses in Mythic. Because, typically you see these 7, 8, 9 boss raids, and roughly, like most guilds that'll step into Mythic will get 3 of them down. And that's like they'll hit the wall with the fourth. Maybe they'll get the fourth down on like a lucky kill or spend most of the tier progressing on it. And I wonder that with it being 12 bosses, are we going to see a lot of guilds hit 5 out of 12 and then hit the wall? That's something that I find interesting.
Yeah, I feel like it's probably going to be 4 or 5, depending on if it's a very linear raid and depending on how, basically on how Blizzard designed it. I mean, we can kind of go off of the way it's just kind of been. Fetid Devourer and Uldir was the third, technically, but because of the way that the wings worked, you didn't have to fight him until you were already done with, I believe it was Vectis and the bug. I forget what it is. It's like the Anubarak essentially that same model. But yeah, like you didn't have to go right to Fetid. So it's an early wall that prevented you from getting into Zool. But that wasn't a very linear raid. And then you think about Queen Ajara's raid, Eternal Palace. Ashvane as the fourth boss, even though there's not, it's not strictly linear where you go between Radiance and Behemoth. It doesn't really matter. They're both easy. Lady Ashvane always kind of stands in the way because at that point the raid becomes linear and you have to get through that wall, and that's number 4. If they do the same thing that they've normally done, yeah, we're thinking like maybe 4 or 5, but there's a lot of stuff that you could look into. You could look at the PTR build. You could look at, some of Preach's content to see like the specifics of those bosses. But I would say after tuning, we should expect walls around those marks so that they can have an early wall, a late wall, and then a difficult final boss to have that kind of progression feel that all these raids have.
Yeah, that's probably pretty fair. I think also one of the things that like shouldn't be left out is Titan forging is gone, I believe. And the gear in Mythic Plus is going to scale based on the Mythic Plus. I think you will get a higher item level in your chest, and there's no randomness as far as the item level is. I think it's just whether or not it is corrupted. Am I wrong on that?
Yeah, no, the corruption, it will replace the Titan forging system. So when you do open your weekly chest, the only Titan forging, quote unquote, that would happen would be whether or not it's corrupted, and if so, how corrupted is it?
And I think that's awesome. I think item level is still going to be the main scale of it. Like if you have a high item level, I think it would be probably safe to assume that you have a reasonable amount of corruption that is gonna make you better or worse for whatever reason. And I think that like just having a standard item level saying, hey, I complete this content, not, hey, I got lucky Titan forging in normal and my item level is incredibly high because of it. And I think that is better for the game and better for, those players. And the Mythic Raid to your last two bosses have the highest item levels in the game, which I think is awesome as well. So you can't match that from Mythic Plus. So it's something unique that separates those high end top tier raiders from everybody else. I mean, if you're a cutting edge player, you are far and away a better player than me and 99% of the WoW player base, or at least you have the time to put in to make cutting edge. Obviously there's a couple probably solid players that don't get cutting edge, but you know what I mean with that. Like you put the most time in, the most effort, and you're obviously a very talented player unless you're paying for it. So I think that's awesome.
Yeah, it's a lot to look forward to. I think it's 1 week after the heroic raid is out, we have Mythic, so that's going to be on the 28th, and that's not that far away. I mean, this episode's going to release on the 24th, a month after, so you have the holidays, you have time to come back and potentially do some essence gathering. We're not entirely sure how the essence acquisition system will change in 8.3, but we do know it should be easier. So, kind of pick and choose your time wisely. I would say making sure that you know a variety of specs and classes that you're comfortable with, depending on how the patches and how the raid kind of balances out. So you can be ready to go in any direction. I would say get your Azurite power up. Kind of just get back into the swing of things. Get ready to, stack up your reputation. For your Paragon caches, you can have 19,999 reputation out of 10,000. So essentially what that will do is you have a Paragon cache that you can get, and then get one more reputation point, and that's a second one, and then for each double stacked Paragon reputation that you can have two of their caches at the beginning of 8.3. So there's a lot of cool different things that you can do in this month to prepare for it. Again, that's just to prepare for the raid. You would want to do that stuff to prepare for the patch on the 14th, but again, all of these things are essentially leading you towards getting into that raid on the 21st and then the 28th for Mythic.
Yep, and I think that's it for the night. Obviously, a short episode. It's the holiday season. I'm sure a lot of people are on vacation. To enjoy your time off. Try to spend some time with friends and family. Maybe spend a little bit of time in Azeroth if you're into that. Not much news in Classic. Expect like a more full, in-depth episode. Probably after the new year.
Yeah, the next episode we have will probably be just as short, if not shorter, New Year's Eve special episode. After that, we're going to get back into it. We'll have some content to look at. We'll definitely be speculating. But yeah, for now, everyone enjoy the holidays. We'll see you guys next time.